Hello friends, I am Lakshmikant. Hope you all are fine, my dear. Dear, in this topic I am going to tell you about the mind map of biomolecules. Here, this one is the third unit and this one is, this is very important conceptual chapter, my dear. So here, before we have to be start this one thing, that is the biomolecules of mind map. So see here, so in this very chapter what we should have to know. Here we should have to be know about the first term, that is what biomolecules. You all know, my dear, here the bio means what? Life. And you all know that whenever I am telling about something about life, it means what? They have derived from some organic materials as well as inorganic material, my dear. Getting my point? All the life, either they originate from organic or inorganic materials. So now the thing is here that, sir, if I am saying here about the biomolecules, then what it means, my dear? Biomolecules, it means that the chemicals present in living organisms. You know that we all are what? Some chemicals which is made up of the whole body cells, as well as whatever we take the food also, my dear, that very food is also contains some chemicals. Getting my point? So if I am saying here that the chemicals which present in living organisms, that very chemicals is known as what, my dear? Biomolecules. You are getting my point? So see how we here start this one mind map, dear. This one is the question, that how we mind map, how we start this one thing. Let's see. The first we start from where? The first we start from definition. Then after we types we discuss here. Then after in biomolecules we discuss about which one thing? That is, yes, that is carbohydrate. Then after proteins. Then after lipids. Then after nucleic acid we discuss. Then after some metabolisms, my dear, very important term. And some here what, number 8, that is what? Enzymes. This is one is very important. And then after here we study what? Method to analyze chemical composition. Yes, here is the 9 main branches of this very mind map, my dear. Clear? So after knowing these all very branches of mind map, then after we go on a sub branches, my dear. Okay, so here this one is the concise you say that whole whatever the things given in your chapter, here I am only going to concise. Why? Because this one is only the mind map, that what the things is given there, but how the things is to be given, what the things to be given. So in detail video we cover these all things. Okay, getting my point? Now see, if I am saying here about the term biomolecules, it means what? It means that the chemicals present in living organisms. See what I am saying here, the chemicals, what I am saying here, chemicals here. If anybody can ask you about the term, what I am writing here, biomolecules, my dear. See, biomolecules. So if anybody can tell you about this thing, that is what biomolecules, then what you know? Bio means what? Bio means what? Life, and molecules, my dear. Getting my point? So here what I am saying, the organisms, the living organisms. What I am saying? Here I am saying what? The living organisms. The living organisms, which is what, my dear? Made up of what? Living. Yes, the living organisms which is made up of, chemicals, my dear. Here I am going to write what? Chemicals. Yes, what I am saying? Wait a moment. Made up of what? Chemicals. You getting my point or not? See, if I am saying here that the chemicals, it means what? The something chemical that is in the form of their what? Enzyme, in the form of their what? Hormones. Getting my point or not? Yes. Here the two term, my dear, enzyme and what? Other one is what? Hormone. So enzyme is also chemical, definitely. Hormone is also chemical, definitely. But now the question is here, my dear, what is enzyme and what is hormone? Yes or no? So let's see here. If I'm telling about the term enzyme, if I'm going to tell you about the term enzyme, then what I say here, see, an enzyme what? It is a biocatalyst. What I'm saying here, it is a biocatalyst, my dear. What I'm saying, it is a biocatalyst which always, what I'm saying, always increase the rate of what I'm saying, the rate of biochemical reaction. Biochemical reaction, my dear. Getting my point? So whatever the reaction occurred within the body, they all reactions occurred with the help of what, my dear? Enzymes. So enzymes is a what? Catalyst, my dear. Here I am going to give you example of that very enzyme. You know what? Just take an example. Just take example salivary amylase. Here what I am saying? Here example is what? Salivary amylase, my dear. What I am saying here? Salivary amylase. So salivary amylase is an what? Enzyme, my dear. This one is what? Enzyme. And this enzyme is secreted from where? This enzyme is secreted from salivary gland. What I am saying? Salivary gland, my dear. Getting my point or not? So if I am saying here that the enzyme salivary amylase, which is secreted from salivary gland, so this one amylase, this one is salivary amylase, is responsible for breakdown of what? Breakdown of what, my dear? Carbohydrate into what? Glucose. Into glucose, and finally we get the energy in the form of what? Glucose. Getting my point? So see, so enzyme term is clear. Now see what the meaning of hormone, my dear. So hormone is also very simple. It is what? Hormone. If anybody can ask you about the hormone, then what you say? You say here that hormone is a what? It is a chemical messenger. What I am writing here? It is a what? Chemical messenger. Yes, chemical messenger which act where? Which act on a where? Target organ, my dear. Where it act? It act on a target organ. So very simple, my dear. If anybody can ask you about the hormone, then what you say? It is a chemical messenger which act where? On a target organ or target site. Getting my point? So now here the two terms is clear. If anybody can ask you about the enzyme, then you say it is a biocatalyst, and you know the meaning of catalyst, which always increase the rate of reaction. But whenever I am saying in chemistry, there what the definition? Yes, the substance which either increase or decrease the rate of reaction but doesn't participate in reaction. So this one is what I am saying. This one is a definition given in chemistry, my dear. But when I am talking here about what in biology, so biocatalyst is always what? Enzyme always do what? Increase the rate of biochemical reaction, my dear. Only accelerate the rate of reaction. It doesn't decelerate the rate of reaction. So see, here the main motive is to be say here what? That what is biomolecules. So the biomolecules is nothing, just so simple, the living organisms which is made up of chemicals, and that very chemicals I am giving one example here, that is chemical is what? Enzymes. In the what? Other one is hormone. Basically, what the enzyme? It is a biocatalyst which always increase the rate of biochemical reaction. What is hormone? It is a chemical messenger which act on a target organ. So this one is the thing. See, this one is thing is clear or not? So check here. Wait for a moment. Check here the chemicals which is present. This one check here. Chemicals which is present in the living organisms are known as what? Biochemicals, my dear. Correct? Now, after knowing this one thing, there here it is very important to know types, my dear. What? How many types of biomolecules? Then what you say? Bio micromolecules one and biomacromolecules. See, if anybody can ask you about types of biomolecules, then what you see? Here two types, biomacromolecules, and second one is what? Biomicromolecules. Yes or no? This one is the basic thing. If I am saying here the biomacromolecules, biomicromolecules, my dear. Check here. So biomicro means what? Small, macro means what? Big. So if I am saying here that the biomacromolecules, it means that here I am telling you about the things which is in what? Large amount, huge amount, my dear. Okay, the molecule is be there, but their quantities there is what? In large amount. Now I am going to tell you about this thing according to what? NCERT also. Let's check NCERT also, my dear. Let's see here. This one is the biomolecule chapter 9. Getting my point? Yes, sir. So see, what the thing is given here, my dear. Here the things is given what? See first. Here the thing is given what? See first. Here the term what is given? Let's see. Clear? Check first. Here in this biomolecules chapter, what we here know that, see first, so there is a wide diversity in living organisms, you know, in our biosphere. There are variety of life on earth. Yes, sir, there are variety of life. So now the question here arises in our minds that are all living organisms are made up of same chemicals? No, definitely not. They are made up of different chemicals. That is what? That is elements, compounds. Yes or no? So in the same way, you learnt in chemistry also, my dear, how element analysis is performed. You know, if we perform any analysis on a plant tissue or an analysis of what? Animal tissue, or any analysis of a microbial pest, what we obtain? We obtain that these all very things, either plant tissue, animal tissue, microbial, these all are the list of elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and several others, and their what? Respective content per unit mass of living tissue, my dear. So this one is very important to know here that whatever the organisms around us, they are not made up of same chemicals, my dear. They are made up of different chemicals. So what here we analyze here that whatever the organisms on the earth crust is an example of non-living matter also. We obtained similar list. So what are the differences between the two lists? That the things which is made up of living and non-living, here the thing is very different. So all the elements present in the sample of the earth crust are also present in the sample of living tissue also. Suppose nitrogen is found in the atmosphere, nitrogen is found inside or not? Yes. Carbon is found outside, then carbon is also found inside or not? Yes. Getting my point? Hydrogen is outside, hydrogen is inside or not? Yes. So whatever the form, in the form of elementary or compound, they all are things also found in our body also, my dear. So however, a closer examination reveals that relative abundance of what? Carbon and hydrogen. Correct? So whatever the things we are seeing around us, my dear, basically the two things be here. You know which one thing is first? First that is what? First that is what? Carbon. First that is what? Carbon. And second one is what? First one is carbon. And second one is what, my dear? Hydrogen. Second one is what? Hydrogen, my dear. So this one is the thing. So with respect to the other element is higher in living organisms. So that's why I am saying. How do analysis of chemical composition? This one is the question. How do we analysis? Dear, we analysis this. We can continue asking in the same way what type of organic compounds. Organic compound means what? The compound which is made up of what? Living material. So all the compounds found in the living organisms? Yes, my dear. To get answer, we have to be perform some chemical analysis. After chemical analysis, what we say? Yes, there is a something that is made up of what? Chemicals. Here the example is, my dear, take a vegetable peels or a piece of liver grind it in a trichloroacetic acid. What I'm saying? Trichloroacetic acid. So when we grind this one thing in a trichloroacetic acid, then what we say, using a mortar and a vessels, we obtain thick slurry. If we are to strain means what? Color. Strain through a what? Cheesecloth or a cotton, we obtain two fraction. One is called the filtrate, and more technically the acid soluble pool. See here, here are the two type of pool. One is the acid soluble pool, another was what, or you say the acid insoluble fraction. So found thousands of organic compounds in the acid, what? Acid soluble pool. It means that very chemical substance, that very organic compounds which is easily mix up where in a solvent, my dear. Getting my point? Now check here the comparison between element present in non-living and living matter. So which one thing here ask in examination? Element which is very least and element which is what? Very large. So weightage of percentage in earth crust, what? 0.14%. See here, and this one is what? Silicon, 27.7%. What about the percentage in human body, dear? 0.5%. Here what I am saying? Here I am saying about the oxygen, 65%, and less amount, my dear, that is what? Magnesium. That is negligible. Getting my point or not? So this one is the understanding the chemistry, nahi. So that's why here it is easy to be know that how much percentage be contained in a elementary form in our atmosphere, my dear, as well as about what in human body also, basically earth crust, the human body. And so whenever we move ahead in higher classes, what we learn here, we learn that there are particular organic compounds. What the particular organic compounds, my dear? That very organic compound which is basically made up of carbon along with hydrogen, my dear. Yes or no? So here the things that is very important to know here, that in other words, one isolate and purifies a compound. Yes or no? Here I am saying that all the carbon compounds that we get from living tissue can be called biomolecules. This one is so interesting line, my dear. See what I am saying here. Here I am saying that all the carbon compounds, it means that what? The compound which is made up of carbon, that we get from living tissue and can be called what? Biomolecules, my dear. What we call here? Biomolecules. Now the point here to be note that list of there some representative inorganic constituent of living tissue, my dear. So what the component of sodium? Sodium, the formula is what? Na plus, definitely. Potassium, K plus, calcium, Ca plus plus, magnesium plus plus, water, H2O. Compound, what the compound? Chloride, sodium chloride, calcium carbonate, phosphate and sulfur dioxide. So these all are the what list which representative inorganic constituent living tissue. The question is here that what the things in given biomolecules. Here a slightly different but destructive experiment has to be done. When we weigh them, then we get a quantity over there. So this is the figure that is important to know here. So see, amino acid, what I am saying here, the amino acid is what? Organic compound. Which type of compound here? Organic compounds. And this organic compound of amino group and the acidic group as a substituent on the same carbon, that is alpha carbon. So see what I am saying here, I am saying here that the carbon, that is what? Alpha carbon. Which one carbon? Alpha carbon. And they are called what? Amino acid. What I am saying? Alpha amino acid, my dear. So they are what? Substituted methanes, my dear. What I am saying? Methanes. So why I am saying here that this one thing? Because there are 4 substituent groups occupy the 4 valency position. So that's why I am saying that valency position they occupy. It means that they occupy each and every substituent groups, my dear. So these hydrogen, carboxyl group, amino group, variable group designed as a R group. What I am saying? R group. So when we put here the R group, it means what? Whenever we put the R group, here we put either alcohol, either carboxylic acid. Getting my point? either CO, ketone group, whatever. So these are the hydrogen carboxyl group, amino group. This one is mentioned here. Now, see, so the R group, that is what functional group in the proteinaceous amino acid could be a hydrogen. The amino acid is called glycine. What we say here? Here the R group, that is a proteinaceous amino acid, that would be what? Hydrogen. So suppose if they are containing some hydrogen in there, then that is called what? Amino acid, that is glycine, my dear, correct? So simply here the methyl group or alanine, hydroxyl serine, these are a 20 number of chain carbon, my dear, given in what? Figure 9.1. See this one. Wait a moment. This one, na? No. This one is the thing. Clear? My point is clear. So hydroxyl methyl, my dear, serine. So there are 20 are shown in figure 9.1. Clear? So see, here the B is called deuteronic form. Here the ammonia, here functional alkyl group. This one is what? Alkyl group, my dear. This one is what? Alkyl group. So in this very group, what we study here? Here we study that there are so many lipids which are generally water insoluble. What I am saying? So before we know that, see here the chemical and analysis properties. What I am saying here? Wait a moment. See from this paragraph. See from this paragraph, my dear. See from this paragraph. See. So the R group in this proteinaceous amino acid is could be hydrogen. It could be what? Hydrogen. The amino acid is called glycine. What we call? Glycine. So there are different methyl group, my dear. Methyl group here. So this one methyl group is known as what? Alanine. What is called? Alanine. Hydroxymethyl serine. And they 3 of 20 shown in figure 9.1. Clear? So see, what the chemicals and physical properties of amino acids are essentially of amino. So they are very, very essential to know here, my that whatever the chemicals and physical properties of amino acids, they must have what? Amino, as well as what? Carboxyl, as well as what? R functional group. R functional group means what? The group which is added another carbon compounds, my dear. So here the based on the number of amine and carboxyl group, they are what? Acidic, glutamic acid, lysine, neutral, valine, amino acid. So all these are. So similarly, there are aromatic amino acid, my dear. Tyrosine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, these all are. A particular property of amino acid is what? Ionizable in nature, my dear. That is what? NH2 and COOH group. See here, carboxylic group. So hence in solution of different pH, the structure of amino acid will also what? Change, my dear. Getting my point or not? So B is called what? Deuteronic form. So this one, whenever you go in details, then I will tell you about there. Now see. This one is the main point. So what the main point is here to be obtained here? The chemicals which is present in the living organisms are known as biochemicals, types to macro and macromolecules. Third one is, my dear, here what? Carbohydrate. So see, if I am saying here about the carbohydrate, you all know that the carbohydrate is made up of monosaccharides. What I am saying? Carbohydrate is made up of what? Monosaccharides, my dear. Let's check here. Wait a moment. Wait a moment, my dear. Eraser here. Okay, can I rub these all things? Wait for a moment. Okay. Let us see this one here. This one is the point here. Let's see. The one is point here. That is one is what here? What made up of monosaccharides. Mono means what? Single. So this one is further classified into two: homopolymer, and second one is what? Heteropolymer. So see, if I am saying homopolymer, which is made up of same monomer unit, when I am saying the heteropolymer, it means what? Made up of different monomer unit. So if the different monomer unit unite together, then it comes known as what? Heteropolymer. If the same unit of monomer unite together, then it's from what? Homopolymer media. Now see here, the made up of monosaccharides. What I am saying here, made up of monosaccharides. So here the glycosidic bond is present. So if anybody can ask you which type of bond is presented basically in monosaccharides, then what you say? Glycosidic bond. What I am saying? Glycosidic bond, my dear. Now the time to know here what types on the basis of their shape they are two. One is what? Fibrous protein and globular protein. So this one is the fibrous protein. Suppose this one is the structure of protein, lipid bilayer. Hope so you know. In this way you have to know the outer. This one is what? Hydrophobic end. This one is what? Hydrophobic. And this one is what? Hydrophilic, my dear. This one is what? Hydrophilic. So one end is what? Water repelling, and other one end is what? Water attracting, my dear. So this one is the tail. What I am going to say here, this one is the what? Tail, and this one is what? Head, my dear. This one is what? Head. So see, if I am saying here that about the head and tail, so what it means? One end is what? Hydrophobic end, and one end is what? Hydrophilic end, my dear. Getting my point? Yes. So see here, if I am saying that the protein, so see here, this one is the protein. This one is what? Fibrous protein. This one is what? Suppose this one is what? Fibrous protein. This one is what? Fibrous protein, my dear. So whenever the protein contained in this way, suppose in this way, so this one is known as what? Globular protein. What I am saying? Globular protein. The protein which is formed of what? Globules, my dear. Is the thing is clear? Yes, sir. So now the protein is clear. Now what the structure of the protein, my dear? So if anybody can ask you about the structure of protein, then you say there what? They are basically the four types of structure, my dear. One is primary, second one is secondary, third one is tertiary, fourth one is what? Quaternary, my dear. So in detailed video I will give you about this one thing, but here only you have to be know what? The biomolecules, the structure of protein, how many types? Four types, my dear. Now see, what about the lipids in biomolecules? Lipids, that is what? Fat. That is what? Fat. So in a lipids, it classified into what? That is first, that is what? Glycerol, my dear. What I am saying? One thing point here is what? Glycerol. Second one is what? Fatty acid. And this fatty acid is of two types. One is saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid. My dear, if I am saying here that the saturated fatty acid, it means what? Saturated fatty acid is such a fatty acid which is responsible for their what? Storage of glucose, my dear. So if the excessive amount of the glucose is stored, then the person become obese, my dear. So saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. So after knowing this one thing, now the point here to be understand here that about the nucleic acid, and you all know that the nucleic acid is what? DNA deoxyribonucleic acid, RNA even when there, then ribonucleic acid. Whenever the nucleotides is there, yes, nucleotide, that is a nitrogenous base, pentose sugar and phosphate group. Three things you have to be remember in nucleotides. What are they? Number one, nitrogenous base, second one is pentose sugar, and third one is what? Phosphate group, my dear. Phosphate group means what? Their addition of phosphorus. So if the phosphorus is addition in a what? Nucleic acid, then it becomes phosphate group. If the RNA containing their nucleic acid, that is known as what? Yes, ribonucleic acid. And if the DNA containing over there, that is called deoxyribonucleic acid. Finally, we store the energy in the form of what? ATP. And after that, whatever the stored energy in the form of ATP, that very ATP energy is utilized to the each and every part of cell to perform various biochemical reaction, my dear. So here I am going to say that they are biomolecules, and this biomolecules perform so many functions, that is the life activities you say, or you say the biochemical reaction, my dear. And you all know that if anybody can ask you about the metabolisms, you know metabolisms what? No, you don't know. See, if anybody can ask you about what? Metabolism. See what I am saying here? Here I am writing a term. What? Metabolism, my dear. See what I am saying? Metabolism. Metabolism is what? Sum of all biochemical reactions. See, in this way you say sum of all biochemical reaction. See what I am saying? Sum of all biochemical reaction, my dear. So if I am saying here that the sum of all biochemical reaction is known as what? Is termed as what, dear? Metabolisms. And metabolisms of how many types? Two. One is what? One is catabolism. Second one is what? Anabolism, my dear. One is what? Catabolism. Second one is what? Anabolisms. So when I say the catabolisms, we say catabolisms when there is a what? Breakdown process, my dear. But whenever I say the word formation process, then it is known as what? Anabolisms, my dear. Getting my point or not? So this one is very important to know here. Is that clear? Is that clear? So after that we goes in the details of this biomolecules mind map, in the details of mind map, my dear. Thank you for watching, and we just continue then after.